Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. What's a place that seems fine during the day but gets really creepy at night? Service stations / rest stops. Fine in the day, but I've been in a few 24-hour ones way out in the middle of nowhere at night where I'm literally the only car in the lot, and all the low light are on and the staff is a skeleton crew mostly in the back doing stock. I remember standing in one huge rest stop once and it was just me and this creepy arcade music playing. It felt like I was the only person left alive after some apocalypse. Well, of course it's creepy when the crew is a bunch of skeletons. If I too as the skeleton crew in the back, I would keep that music, but then edit it in a way that it decays and distorts near the end just to screw with people who walk in. This would absolutely work with me. The security camera footage of me pissing myself and sprinting through one of those large plate glass windows would go viral. And when it gets to that part, start flickering the light switch. A school. This is true. I put myself through college working as janitor in a NYC public grade school. The only time I've ever been truly scared at work is when I had to stay late for some contractors working outside the building and I heard a basketball bouncing in the gym when that side of the school was locked down. Casper has to shoot hoops every now and then, you know. My parents had a meeting with the principal of my elementary school when I was little. We were the only ones in the school and I got bored. We were there for hours, so I decided to walk down the hall to see if the gym was unlocked so I could play in there while they talked in the office. I got to the doors and saw it was open. There were no lights on except the exit signs. There was an old chalkboard on wheels set atop the stage. It was sitting vertically. I kinda felt uneasy being in the alone at night, so I slowly began walking back to the office. The second I left the gym, I heard a basketball bounce a couple times. I looked over my shoulder and saw a ball rolling from the stage and the old chalkboard was flipped horizontal. I ran so fast that night. And yet of course, no one believes me. Now that I look back at it, it might have just been the janitor pulling my leg. I work midnights at my local hospital and end up in the OR rooms a lot. I help prep for the next day's surgeries. Totally creepy. Agreed. I broke my hand and went to a local hospital at 3 a.m. All the overhead lights were flickering erratically, there were some pale-looking nurses and a doctor shuffling around silently in their white coats. There was a cigarette extinguished through the paper sheet on one of the gurneys. It was all very eerie. Maybe against your feeling, but I like working night shifts in my hospital because they feel kinda cozy, at least if they are silent. Just the dimmed light of the station floors, checking the rooms and seeing the patients sleep, or read with just a little light or watch soccer together, all the hallways where nurses and doctors and all the other people run around in stress under the neon light get kinda calm and cozy when they are empty and dimmed. And the restroom with dimmed light, not the 6 to 12 people sitting around, sweating and quickly talking or discussing procedures, but just me and my co-worker, watching a good movie, playing some PS2 or just talking about the whole world if the night is calm. The hallway that led to my parents' room when I was a kid. The hallway from my room to the only bathroom in the house where the door creaks and swings on its own every once in a while. Dirt roads. I grew up on one and would walk it to get to the main road to catch the bus for school. I'd have to walk it at night to babysit my neighbor's kids and the difference was crazy. During the day it's bright, there are flowers and the worst you'll see is a snake or a deer. At night the roar of the frogs is deafening. The trees seem to encroach on the road and you catch glowing eyes in the woods around you. And you get all the crazy drunk drivers at night. I've seen some stupid shit go down on the rural Michigan back roads at night. I went to school in a farming community between Lansing and Ann Arbor. In our town and the surrounding towns, drunk driving was basically a hobby for teens. A lot of kids would swear they'd never drive drunk, but cruising dirt roads drunk was a different thing and totally normal. Theme park. I work at Disney World. It's honestly really cool at night because a lot of the areas are designed to have really cool lighting, but when they shut down all the lights and turn off the music and you're the only one in the entire land, it get really creepy. If I worked closing shift, I'd occasionally walk back to costuming from Frontierland above ground, instead of using the utilities. It's eerie seeing, and especially hearing, the park when no one is there. Calm, quiet, empty. That's when the cats come out, too. Theme parks are so eerie when they're deserted. I'm an urban explorer, and while all abandoned places have that strange there should be people here and their absence is a physical weight vibe, no location has that quite as potently as abandoned theme parks. I'm constantly expecting to hear the clatter of rides or the screams of riders. It must be really weird being security or something for a theme park, and experiencing that while the park is still in good condition. Dude, there's a failed planned city in the Mojave Desert in California called California City. It was meant to house 70,000 residents, but only 14,000 live there. It's the size of Los Angeles, but with only 14,000 people. There are whole sections and subdivisions of the city that are completely abandoned, and the desert is starting to move back in. There are neighborhoods with houses and stop signs that are buried under sand. An unlit swimming pool. Any body of water I can't see the bottom of. Fuck, going in my childhood pool at night always got me on edge. It's not that big, I'm a full adult, I can touch the floor easy, but fucking hell, do I hate focus on my breathing. /r/thalassophobia is my own personal hell. Edit, Reddit autocomplete that as a valid subreddit, full of on-topic content, even if the correct spelling of the word is r/thalassophobia with an O. The ocean too. Oceans are scary whether it's day or night. I live right next to a disused airfield. It's a square kilometer of completely clear, flat land and is really unnerving. There's also the control tower in the center that gets extremely spooky at night. The only way in is to scale the wall and then lower yourself in from the roof through an upstairs window. I should also say that I live in the north of Scotland, where flat land is pretty uncommon. Edit, a lot of people have asked for pictures and I will try my best to get some. However, there is a very aggressive flock of birds nesting on the control tower, so it's how close I can get. r/bosseria. Honestly, I'm just waiting for a giant creature to just arise from the fields and challenge my stake for this domain. My basement. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., my basement is fine and totally safe. 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., 100% sure there are zombies down there waiting to eat my face. My basement growing up creepy. There was a weird storage that you couldn't access unless you had a ladder or something. The door was about 3 feet wide by 1.5 foot high. The R itself was pretty deep. Like easy could fit a few people in there. I never found out what it was uses for. House was built in the 1930s. Edit, I drew a picture of my old basement. I'm not a good illustrator by any means, but hopefully you get an idea of how it looked. Stuff on the left is laundry stuff, wash dryer, sink. We had sweet hangout room our mom built for us to the right, where we eventually had my brother's drums and my guitar that we would play to keep the neighborhood up at night. Subpar diagram of my basement. Last edit, I should mention that the creep hole was about 5 to 6 ft deep and about 3 feet wide. Had a window on the far side of it, and from what I remember no other doors or chutes. Old houses are neat. Coal bin. A recently divorced uncle's house with an unkempt lawn and a 1992 Saturn sedan that's missing half of the rear bumper parked in front. This place is so wait, that cars are 93, never mind. r/suspiciously specific. Nursing home. I didn't believe in ghosts until I worked at one. I was about to say this. Old manor house converted to a very expensive residential home for the elderly. Butler's pantry, large staircase, high ceilings, and every so often a confused resident silently roaming the halls, the worst bits. Firstly, having to retrieve the cleaning stuff from the top of the very dark cellar stairs, and secondly the very large, very dark windows looking out into the pitch black grounds. Apparently all rich people wanted to see the zombie apocalypse coming from a mile away. Are the decaying still out there, Prudence? Yes, mother, but they shouldn't get here till Tuesday. I worked in a nursing home when I was in nursing school. 3 to 11 p.m. in memory care. We had one man who was just so grumpy and set in his ways. In a sweet way, he was never mean, just a gruff old geezer who liked to sit in his seat at dinner and on the couch, and heaven help you if you sat there. He passed away in his room, and the next weekend there was a new resident set up in there. Every night she'd come to me and tell me that there was an old man telling her to get out of his room. I would walk back in there with her, and she'd point to her chair, which was in the same corner as his recliner, and say, "He says this is his room and I'm to get out." I left before that was ever resolved. The poor thing just didn't sleep at night. My grandma is in a memory care home. For a little while after she first moved in, she told us a lady kept coming into her room and moving her things around. This is not the first time we've heard something like this, and she had some similar delusions when the dementia first started taking hold that were ruled out as purely delusional, so we brushed it off a bit. She kept speaking about it though, and finally after about a month it was found that she wasn't hallucinating. Turns out the former resident of her room was still alive and would go to that room out of habit, thinking it was hers. She was confused about the placement of all my grandmother's things, and was trying to move everything back in place. I always thought it would have been incredibly strange to walk into your home one day and suddenly see that it's filled with another person's things, and totally different. Poor lady was probably so confused. I wish I would see a ghost. An actual scary as fuck ghost. I even bought a murder-suicide house. There ain't no fucking ghosts. Well, at least you're really applying yourself. I hear that ghosts hate when you do renovations. So start doing non-stop renovations.